recipe begging to be made. Coming right up on Weekend at the Cottage. Welcome to Weekend at the Cottage. I gotta tell you, this is pretty special to me. I'm sitting in the sunroom doing work. I'm working on Christmas recipes, no less. I am in possession of my mother's recipe box, thanks to my sisters. I'm flipping through the recipe box looking for Christmas inspiration, and I come upon 2 sheets of paper in my mom's handwriting, and we think in my Aunt Alexandra's handwriting. My mom, typical mom form, pretty, not very succinct recipe. Peaches, sugar, white sugar, mix, filled crust, lattice work. Oy. And then the other card is for my Aunt Alexandra's handwriting, topping for apples or peaches. Same thing. Very kind of loose recipes to interpret, and yet I thought, you know what? I want to give this a go. It looks like one of those recipes that never got made, so I figure, hey, I am up for the challenge. I've made the pie, and I want to walk you through what I did to make it before I take that first bite, which is so important. We're starting with our pie dough recipe. If you've never made a pie dough, 1 minute of your time, click up here to watch our 1-minute pie dough tutorial. I've created 2 discs. You'll need 1 disc for this recipe. We're taking our pie dough out onto a floured surface, rolling it out about a 1/4 inch thickness, back on the rolling pin, transferring onto a pie plate. We push down, trim off the excess dough, and then that classic two finger, 1 thumb crimp, where you go along the rim of the pie crust and you form that beautiful fluted edge. Now, it's a hot day here in the cottage, so I took the pie crust and then I put it in the fridge until I'm ready to prepare the final steps of the pie. On Mom's sheet then, we're talking about a series of dry ingredients for the pie, so we're gonna start with that to begin with. Into a medium-sized bowl, 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, 1/4 cup of brown sugar with no direction on packed or not, so I'm putting in loose dark brown sugar, a nice spice complement, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. She had on the recipe card salt, question mark, so I figure, okay, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then the last dry ingredient is 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. And we know that cornstarch is supposed to bind this pie up. So far, my fingers are crossed that this is gonna work. Dry ingredients go to the side. Now it's time to make the crumble topping in advance. Medium-sized bowl, 3/4 cup of all-purpose unbleached flour. Again, no specific, 1 cup of brown sugar, I'm doing loosely packed. 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I also added in 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger to boost the flavor profile a little bit. Now we need 1/2 cup of rolled oats. Hands are washed, they go into the bowl, and I'm just gonna pull these ingredients together by hand before adding in 1/2 cup of butter. The butter is cold, so I'm adding the butter in. This is similar to when we made our pie dough. I'm rubbing this mixture into the butter with my fingertips until you get little tiny, almost pea-shaped balls. Now, last ingredient is going in, which is 1/2 cup of pecans. This again is one of my own additions. I'm putting the pecans in and mixing everything together by hand. Our topping is done. Now we're going to continue and make the actual fruit filling for the pie. On the recipe sheet, she's calling for 5 cups of peaches, but she was a woman who always said, go big or go home. So I decided to use 6 cups of peaches. Peaches are washed. We're cutting them in half, removing the stones, and then slicing them quite thinly. You're looking for very ripe peaches for this recipe. 6 cups is the complement. I'm transferring the measured peaches into a medium-sized bowl. Now we need 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Again, left to my own devices, I'm adding 1 tablespoon of ginger. We're gonna mix all of those ingredients together. Now you take your dry mix, we're gonna go half, sprinkle it on top, Stir it together until it's nicely combined. And now we continue with the remaining portion of the dry ingredients. Stir everything together with the spoons, and we're ready to fill and bake our pie. At this point, I'd like you to turn your oven on to 425 degrees. We need to preheat it. We're taking our chilled pie shell out of the fridge. We're transferring in our beautiful peachy mixture. If you want, go ahead, take a little bite of this now. It's really, really bright and flavorful. I'm gonna spoon the peaches on top, the liquid right at the end. Next step in the pie recipe, we take our crumble topping, spoon it on top, push it right up to the edge of the crust, and then we're transferring our filled pie to a baking sheet. It goes into the oven, and we're going to bake at that preheated 425 degree temperature for 20 minutes. Now, the cottage kitchen is a little wonky, so at that 20-minute mark, I rotated the pie. We reduce our oven temperature to 375 degrees, and we're gonna bake for an additional 45 minutes. It needs to be nice and golden on top. Mine got all bubbly around the edges. It weeped, it was beautiful. I knew it was done. Now comes the tough part. You have to wait and let it cool for at least 3 hours. I'm really sorry, but I think it's an important step. The inside of the pie needs to set. But when that 3-hour mark comes, your house will be filled with fantastic aromas and everybody's gonna be chomping at the pie bit. Ready? We're cutting into our pie, classic wedge shapes. You go to lift. Oh, it's just a little bit loose, but it's perfect. Over to a dessert plate. And then right at the end, we're adding a scoop of French vanilla ice cream. We're adding a slice of peach, and then just tuck in a pecan half on top. I mean, this is so beautiful. I can't believe it. The pie has turned out perfectly. I love the way the ice cream is kind of melting. It looks so wonderful. Can I have that first bite and tell you what it's all about? I have everything on this fork. Oh, it's kind of a little crunchy. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Only thing missing is, I wish my mom was here to try it with me. Okay, I'm not gonna cry. It's like, why does that guy always cry when he makes a pie? I won't. Instead, I'm gonna regain my composure and invite you. Head to weekendatthecottage.com, subscribe to our website, look for us on our dedicated YouTube channel. Find us on your favorite social media platform using hashtag weekendatthecottage. There you have it. A recipe that almost didn't make it to my family's table, but thankfully finally did, and now holds a special place in my heart. Peach pie, crumble topping, get going, get baking. It sure is fabulous. Enjoy.